today I have my lovely friend Wendy.
Thank you.
So today we're going to talk about quite a serious topic, bulimia.
Dun 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 dun. A Jada Broad.
I asked a lot of people that I know for some questions about things they want to know about bulimia. So we're going to answer all your questions today. Number 1. What is bulimia?
Great question. So, as two people who've lived and suffered through bulimia, it's a harmful way to
Try and lose weight.
try and lose weight. That's right.
Yeah,
That's
try
right.
being the operative word because it doesn't always really work actually. Bulimia is the act of going through a lovely cycle.
Yeah.
Step 1 on the cycle is binge eating.
Yeah.
So you see a lot of food and you're like, I want to eat all that food. So you eat it all and you feel,
hey, this is wonderful.
and then you hit stage 2, deep guilt and regret. And you feel,
oh my god, I'm gonna get really fat now, I feel terrible, this is a really bad idea.
and you panic, and then you hit stage 3, which is where you try and get rid of it all by purging. There are 3 main purging tactics. Number 1, the most well-known being vomiting.
Self-induced.
Self-induced vomiting, yeah. The second one being intense exercise.
Yeah. Thinking that you can compensate for the overeating or the binging by working out.
Exactly. And then there's number 3, which is taking laxatives and getting rid of it through that exit instead of this exit.
I want to say one more thing about binging. Binge eating is characterized by the amount of food that you're putting into your body. It's a lot more than the typical person would eat in one sitting.
And it's in a shorter time span
exactly,
too.
within maybe an hour or so or less. And you're just shoving as much food.
So yeah, so you've binged, you felt guilty, you've panicked, then you've purged, and then you felt really guilty again because you're losing control of yourself and your mind, and then that in turn leads you to make yourself feel better again by binge eating, and there's this cycle for you right there. That's bulimia. Question number 2. What's the difference between bulimia and anorexia?
Anorexia is when you starve yourself, so you're not getting enough calories and you're not consuming enough food, and you're so worried about your image that you're not even consuming that.
Avalanche!
Lighten up the mood, thank you.
Thanks, Sabrina.
So with anorexia, people tend to lose weight
Drastically.
drastically. That's
In a
right.
very short amount of time.
Exactly. So the weight loss is profound compared to bulimia, where oftentimes you don't really notice
Yeah,
the
you
effects, at least visually.
Exactly. Most people with bulimia are actually average sized. They're not too small, they're not too big. They're normally like smack bang in the normal category and they stay there.
Exactly. It's
Right?
not
You
an
don't
effective way
budge.
of
You do
losing
not.
weight.
Right. Whereas anorexia, you basically starve your body of all nutrients and then you can die from starving yourself and from other health problems brought on through
Right.
starving yourself.
They're definitely not the same thing.
Completely different. Next, what causes bulimia? What causes bulimia?
A lot of it has to do with the image that you have of yourself.
Yes, definitely.
I wouldn't say strictly because of the physical appearance, but the low self-esteem that
Definitely.
one might have.
Self-confidence.
Right.
Often if you compare yourself to other women or the image that society portrays in like women's magazines and stuff, you see it everywhere, right? And you
Right.
think, oh,
Maybe I should be like that, why aren't I like that?
I'm gonna make myself like that.
other causes could be like trauma, childhood trauma.
Exactly. A lot of people have had a series of trauma throughout their lives, and this is their way of coping with it, unfortunately.
It's often brought on by stress. It's like a coping mechanism for stress.
And also feeling out of control in other areas of your life and using bulimia specifically as a way to control that one area in your
Right,
life.
exactly.
Being able to eat as much as you want, but knowing that
You have no effect.
That's right, that you can get rid of it with
Mhm.
no consequences as you may see it at the time.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a very skewed way of looking at things. Those are some causes.
Next, why doesn't it go away? Well, actually, it can go away.
With a lot of work, becoming aware of it is the first step, like with many addictions. Addictions don't go away. You can't wish them away.
It's the same as trying to quit smoking. Like, how many times do smokers try and fail to quit? It's exactly the same thing, except it's even more difficult for bulimics because you don't need tobacco to survive.
That's right.
But you depend on food to fuel your body.
That's something that I really struggled with because it's hard to know, like,
How much is healthy?
that relationship with food takes years and years of mending.
It's insane when you think about it, because you're trying to reject food. Like, there was a certain point where I became scared of food. It was like I was teetering on the edge of anorexia at one point, because I was like,
I can't go near it because I don't want to enter the cycle of purging it again.
so yeah, it's hard, but it can go away. And
With a lot of work.
next,
How common is it in the UK and the US? Well, between 1.25 and 3.4 million people.
in the UK are affected by an eating disorder. 40% of those with eating disorders suffer from bulimia, 10% suffer from anorexia. How about in the US?
There's around 30 million people that suffer from an eating disorder.
That's a lot.
Yeah. 1.5% are women who suffer from bulimia, and 0.5% of those people are men.
Right. So in the UK, 25% of those with an eating disorder are guys. So it's not only women.
It affects everyone, different ages.
From ages 6 to even 70-year-olds have been discovered with this. So it can affect anybody. Next, are bulimics aware that they are harming their bodies? I wasn't aware at the beginning.
No,
Until I had
it took me
no
about
idea.
a year maybe, or maybe even more. How long did it take you to?
It took me over a year to even diagnose myself. Like, I was just doing it and feeling like,
Oh, this is normal, right? A weird, like, choice that people make, right?
looking back on it now, I'm like,
Well, I was insane. How did I not realize?
Yeah, in retrospect, it's totally crazy looking back on what you were doing to yourself.
right where my mind was. Like, what was
I
I
think
doing?
that's the thing. Your mind wasn't there. Like,
Exactly.
You were not present. You were just trying to exert control in some
Yes.
way.
Yes.
That it was almost like an out-of-body experience.
Pretty much, right? So I didn't realize that I even had it for a year. So how long did it take for me to figure I was harming my body? What about you? How long did it take?
I think a little over a year.
Yeah.
It didn't feel right. Like, I knew it wasn't a good thing, obviously.
Right.
But at the same time, I felt like, oh,
It's just something that I'm doing temporarily. Like, it's not affecting me that much.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
you basically lie to yourself, right? You make excuses for why you're doing it. I guess I didn't realize that it was harming myself until about the same time, maybe a year, when I went,
Huh. Is this bulimia?
and then I researched it and found out all their health problems and went,
Oh, this is an actual disorder. That's not great.
it takes a while. Like, you have to reach a level of awareness. It's not like something like you do it a few times or even a few months and you're like, oh, I know what it is. Like,
yeah, exactly.
self-diagnosed.
Exactly. And again, like, bulimics are very secretive. It's
Yes.
insanely secretive. Like, if
Yes.
you are bulimic, you don't want anyone to know that shit.
Because there's so much shame around it.
People
you don't
are
want
judging
people
you.
Right. You don't know what you're doing to yourself, and once you realize what you are doing to yourself,
That
you don't
shit
want other
stays-
people.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you think you're so alone in it too. as
Yes.
well.
Yeah, maybe find a group that also suffers from the same thing. It's very isolating. It's very hard.
Did you do that, by the way? Did you find an actual
Group?
group or?
No, I didn't. Did you?
My friend recommended it, and I just never did. I think it was still like a very sensitive issue in the beginning
Right.
stages for me that I
don't
just
actually want to deal with it.
Exactly.
Right, you're doing it, but you don't want to deal with it because,
It's like, yeah,
you're still enjoying it in a way.
we're gonna talk about that
Yeah, we are.
later.
Next, we usually hear about young women with eating disorders, but are there other groups of people that are more often affected? No.
Everyone is affected. It is
But most
according to
common
the
is-
numbers, right?
Right.
Young women.
Apparently the women that most likely start getting anorexia are those between 16 and 17 years old. And for bulimia, it's ages 18 and 19 that are most often hit. How old were you when you first?
I was 22
Right.
when I started.
I was 18. No, 19. 19.
Mm-hmm.
So there we go. Bang on the money. How does your condition compare to that of Karen Carpenter? And why did she die?
We didn't really know about Karen Carpenter before
This question. But upon looking it up, basically she used a vomit-inducing drug called Ipecac. And this stopped her from gaining weight. And it also put pressure on her already overtaxed heart, causing heart failure. So the internet resources say that she suffered from anorexia, but if she was using a vomit-inducing drug, I would say that's closer to bulimia.
Right.
But who can say? She did lose an awful lot of weight. She went down to 6 stone 4 or 90 pounds, which is terrifying. I don't think just bulimia would get you to that weight. No. So maybe it was a mixture. I'm not really sure. So Karen Carpenter, scary stuff. What factors in a person's family life might lead to someone developing this disorder?
Wow, this is a great question. There's so many factors. I think the mother and daughter relationship is
Very important.
very important.
Yeah. I had a very open relationship with my mom, which, that's great. I could talk to her about anything. How is your relationship with your mom?
I also had a really wonderful, strong bond with my mom. Still do.
Yeah,
Still do.
same.
I think for other people, they're not so fortunate. And even if you do have a strong relationship with your mom, that doesn't mean that you can change the way that she sees herself. So if your mom has insecurities, then whether
That's gonna
she's
come across.
Exactly. Whether it's intentional or not, a kid is like a sponge. They watch
They
everything
pick
you
up
do.
on
They
everything.
pick up on everything. And
Yeah.
if you're staring in the mirror, like thinking like,
I hate my wrinkles.
oh, whatever, like I hate
Yeah,
Alice,
Oh, look at this pug.
then eventually I think that's going to have some harm, or at least bring some attention to your child's
Body image.
body image and possible imperfections.
Exactly.
At least they'll be more aware of it and maybe start thinking,
Oh, is there something wrong with my hair? Or like my nose?
Definitely, definitely.
and that's something that's really scary about parenting, because even if you're trying to do the best that you can,
If you're focusing too much on yourself and putting yourself
Right.
down all the time, that's going to rub off on your child.
right.
And that's basically what happened in my case, I think.
Not so much in my case. Maybe it was more of a comparison between myself and my sister.
Ah, interesting.
That dynamic was on the back of my mind, because I would hear comments not only from my parents but from family friends, and I would take it very personally. Like if they were to compliment my sister and not me, I would think like,
What's wrong with me?
Oh.
and that just really hurt and stuck with me as well.
Oh, interesting. I never had that because I just have a younger brother, so completely different genders. I was safe from that, I guess. But yes, definitely, family issues can help cause the disorder. How do people start this kind of behavior? Do they know someone who had a disorder? So how do people start this kind of behavior?
Well, I mean, again, one size doesn't fit all. Right?
Exactly.
For me, I felt so out of control in so many aspects of my life, because I was about to graduate from university and I didn't have anything figured out. I was questioning my degree. I didn't know what was going to happen. So that unknown and that uncertainty really freaked me out. And I did something that I felt I could control, and that became a habit
Right.
that just repeated itself
Right.
and became my tactic for dealing with scary unknown things. There are so many different ways that it can start. Like, I remember the thing to do is to get late night food after you go out and party, and I felt really shit for eating all the food that I did at 2 a.m.
Oh, what's a way to fix that?
A lot of it's about control.
Okay, but did you know anyone who had a disorder?
Only you, actually.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Just you. Oh, I recently found out another 2 friends suffered from disorders after asking for feedback on this project.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's already opened a door for people to come
Forward and say.
Right, right.
Yeah. It's like when one person owns up, then the other person goes, oh, actually.
Hey, me too. Hey, we're not alone.
Believe you, buddy.
Believe you, buddies! It was so relieving, I guess, when I found out that you had it.
Yeah, I didn't expect you to understand on that level. Like, I knew you were going to be very receptive to listening and being there for me.
Supportive.
But once you said that, I was like,
What?
are you kidding?
You're joking, right?
Right.
You were the first person who I've ever met who's at least admitted to experiencing an eating disorder.
Yeah.
So if you can be honest, then you never know who you'll meet along the way.
Exactly.
Who's going through the same stuff as you are.
Exactly. To be honest, when I sent out these questions and stuff, the number of responses I had of,
Oh my god, I had no idea. Are you okay now?
like, so much support anyway,
Wow.
because most of the people in my life, I'm not gonna go up to them and be like,
Hey, nice to meet you. I'm Jay. Did you know I have an eating disorder?
That's right, like, start the conversation.
There we go,
right
people.
off, like,
You want to get to know me?
Well, the first thing you need to know, sometimes I vomit.
On purpose.
It's kind of my thing. It's fun.
That's interesting though. I didn't know that you actually, I mean, I guess based on all of the
These questions.
feedback and the questions that you got, I kind of should have assumed that you reached out to people that weren't aware.
yeah,
And you
people that-
told them that why you were asking them. Okay.
It was also a way to kind of, I guess, heal even more.
That's a really good way of healing, yeah.
And I've only received support. I haven't received any negative criticisms or anything. It just made me feel even more like,
This was a great decision.
That's so brave. That's something that I wish I could do, but I think with time,
You'll get
maybe
that.
I'll be able to.
you'll get that.
But I'm really proud of you.
Thanks,
for doing
babes.
that.
I'm
And
proud of
I'm
you
really-
too for doing this.
No,
I mean, this is a great step, right?
It is.
This
it
is scary, by the way. We're terrified.
Yeah, this
Like-
sucks.
Judgment.
Anyway, next, does it affect people differently?
Absolutely.
Yes, of course it does. It affected us differently.
Everyone's a different person. Everyone has different experiences, different trauma,
different purging methods,
different relationships with food or their body.
different journeys. Yeah. Yes. Next. Is there a specific type of person who becomes bulimic, or can it happen to anyone? Anyone, right? I
Like-
thought I was completely healthy, and then it just like hit me in the face, and I was like,
Oh, apparently I'm not healthy.
Yeah, that's right. I had good role models for the most part. You know what? Sorry, this is getting off track, but I do remember I took dance, and you, of course, you know how that
Yes.
is. Like, my dance teacher was really strict, and she would really point out flaws in young girls' bodies.
Oh my gosh,
Myself being
yes.
one of them.
Yeah, I went
and
to
it
a
was super
dance school.
uncomfortable.
yeah,
You're already going through a lot of
changes
in your
puberty,
body, and then you have some woman poking at your
belly.
yeah. It was a lot.
Yeah, I had really great friends at that dance school that were excluded from some dance numbers because of costume sizing
Oh my
and
gosh.
all this other stuff, but they were incredibly talented. So I saw firsthand like how you're judged for your body.
So there's another way.
The more you deep,
Oh my god.
the more you dig, guys, the deeper you get. And we're gonna end this video right there. Check out other videos. We're gonna be talking about body dysmorphia, all about vomiting, giving and receiving support, and the road to recovery. So if you are still interested, then stay tuned for more.
Thanks for hanging out with us, guys.
Yeah. Bye!